Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for this Project Grants for Education application walkthrough for the April 2026 deadline. My name is Seamus Hames. I'm the Arts Education Program Director for the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts. For our agenda today is that we're going to introduce the program, Project Grants in Education. We're going to give some project definitions and examples. We're going to go over eligibility, funding rules and restrictions, how to start your application. We can walk through some evaluation criteria as well. And we're going to give an overview of the kind of a walkthrough of the application as well. And we'll let you know how to get more help if you need it. So introducing the program. The Project Grants in Education provide project-specific support to schools, nonprofit organizations, art educators, and teaching artists to engage students in meaningful artistic experiences and dedicated learning environments. PGE projects must be experiential in focus and focus on the exploration of art and the artistic process. PGE strives to build the capacity of local teaching artists and nonprofit organizations while providing students with high-quality artistic learning experiences. The award amounts for this grant are the maximum award amount is $5,000 to individuals or $7,000 to schools or organizations. These applications opened on February 1st, and their due date is April 1st at 11:59 p.m. The funding period that this grant would support are for projects occurring between July 1st of this year, 2026, and June 30th of 2027. That's the state's fiscal year. Grant notifications will be sent in mid-June tentatively. That's our goal. That's what we always try to aim for. And the final report for your project after you've completed it will be due back to us July 31st of 2027. Who can apply? Pre-K through 12 schools based in Rhode Island, public charter, private, alternative, special education schools, career and technical centers, nonprofit or fiscally sponsored organizations based in Rhode Island, or teaching artists or art educators who are in partnership with a school that is based in Rhode Island. Eligible projects include what we consider pre-K through 12 in-school projects or community-based learning projects. Pre-K through 12 in-school projects may include artist residencies, arts integration projects, community engagement projects, school enhancement projects, or curriculum development projects. Applicants must be a school or district or an individual with a partner school letter of support. Community-based learning projects are the other type of project that this funds. These may include arts learning projects that happen such as summer camps, after-school programs, or weekend programs, so outside of school. But they must occur in a dedicated learning environment with a distinct group of learners of any age, although I will say that this grant does prioritize projects for pre-K through 12 students. And in this situation, organizations, nonprofit organizations, or schools may be the applicant, but individuals may not. And this is due to the fact that we need this to occur in a dedicated learning environment. Projects must include a drafted lesson plan with clearly stated goals, intended outcomes, and means for evaluation. Projects must contain a minimum of 8 contact hours with the same teaching artists and a distinct group of learners. These contact sessions must occur on separate days. So it can't just be one 8-hour session. Projects must consist of in-depth, sequential, and participatory learning opportunities, incorporating one or more art forms. Eligibility. Organizations must have a unique entity ID or UEI. If you don't have one yet, get started on that process, but also connect with us for more information. Individuals do not require a UEI. Also, the organization is not requesting support for this project or aspects of this project through another risk of grants program. The organization is not applying for another risk grant at the same deadline. So one grant, one organization per deadline. And this organization cannot be receiving general operating support for organizations, which is another grant that RISCA has. Yet this project must occur in spaces that are Americans with Disabilities Act ADA compliant. See the NEA's accessibility, publications, checklists, and resources linked on the PGE webpage for more information. PGE, Project Grants in Education. The funded portion of this project activity needs to take place in Rhode Island, and the organization cannot be delinquent on any final reports from previous RISCA grants. If you're an organization, you must be a nonprofit that's conducting business and is incorporated with the state of Rhode Island as a 501c3 with tax-exempt status for the Internal Revenue Service. You must be registered with the Rhode Island Secretary of State. Governed by a revolving board of directors, trustees, or advisory board drawn from the community at large and shown to be actively involved in the governance of the organization. If not a 501c3 tax-exempt Rhode Island-based organization, your fiscal sponsor must fit these requirements. These are kind of, these aren't necessarily in the application itself, but are generally what is needed to become a nonprofit in the state of Rhode Island. You are ineligible for this grant if you are a staff member of RISCA or an immediate family member of a staff or council member, or currently enrolled in an arts degree seeking undergraduate or graduate programs, or attending high school full-time. Funding rules and restrictions, a little bit more here. So all of these grant awards are contingent upon the availability of funds from the Rhode Island State General Assembly and the National Endowment for the Arts, or the NEA. As I was saying, the maximum grant award in this category is $7,000 for organizations and $5,000 for individuals, but partial awards are common. Partial awards will be no less than 50% of the application request, or $1,000, whichever is higher. Just a reminder, grant applications are considered on a competitive basis. Award amounts may vary cycle to cycle depending on available funds, the number of applications, and the panel decision making. If you do receive a partial award, you may modify the project. Please reach out to staff to discuss the project modifications at any time if you need. You also have the option of declining the grant award with no penalties. And this is, we bold this just because if you receive a grant, you must credit RISCA on marketing materials with some sort of public acknowledgement of your funds from RISCA. That way, the community and the public understand that these projects are being paid for with tax dollars. So grant funding cannot be used for the following: capital improvement projects like the construction or renovation of buildings or major permanent equipment purchases, addressing, eliminating, or reducing existing debt, or for contributions to an endowment fund, development or fundraising such as social events or benefits or any fundraising expenses, entertainment and hospitality, including expenses for activities such as receptions, parties, galas, etc. Specific costs that have a core programmatic purpose and are included in your budget are allowed. That does include a culminating event. A lot of projects do have some sort of, if it's a play or something like that, there is some sort of big event at the end. So, but as long as that is part of the core core programmatic purpose of the project. Prizes or awards for an event, a person, and organization are also ineligible. Regranting the funds to other artists or organizations through an application or award process. Activities that are associated with a graduate or undergraduate degree program or for which academic credit is received. Applications for projects that proselytize or promote religious activities or which take part as part of a religious service. Programming, performances, and exhibitions unavailable and or accessible to the public. This includes program that occurs in a space that does not comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. as well as expenses incurred or activity happening outside of the award period. And that would be um, the fiscal year, as we mentioned earlier. Starting your application, things that you should gather: a unique entity identifier. This is for organizations only. If you the UEI is a 12-character identifier assigned by the federal system for awards management. So it must be submitted by any entity that receives federal funds. And you also must upload, if you're an organization, a recent 990 from one of your past 3 fiscal years. For nonprofits less than a 1 year old who have yet to complete a 990 form, you'll need to submit a Word document indicating that you have not yet completed it. So if you're using a fiscal sponsor, you'll need your fiscal sponsor's 501c3 determination letter, UEI, a recent 990, and a fiscal sponsor letter of partnership, or letter of support, rather. Use that fiscal sponsor template on our website before you go there. This is for organizations and individuals. All applications require a project budget. We have that template available on our application. Any bios, CVs, resumes of artists that are involved. Artistic work samples, so up to 3 work samples showing how the artists or culture bearers involved in the project have experience relevant to the project. A work sample list, so describe the work samples, which are usually kind of JPEGs of artwork. The list should describe those work samples in 1 to 3 sentences of giving some context about why you feel those work samples show the artists involved in the project have experience relevant to that project. Usually a testimonial is required as well. So some sort of quote, a statement of support from a person or people or an organization that you have worked with before, or that you plan on working with, partnering with in this project. Evaluation criteria. So the panel reviewers will use the following criteria to evaluate and recommend applications for funding. And you will notice that in the application, these are actually the main sections as well. Logistics, artistic vibrancy and impact, and each project grant has a program-specific section. In this case, ours today is education. The logistics means that the applications clearly states what will be done by whom, when and where things will take place, and how this project will happen both logistically and financially. The applicant indicates relevant metrics as well to measure their progress. And we have checklists mostly in this section where you can indicate exactly what these logistics are. Artistic vibrancy and impact is the second section. Art being central to the project. The art and artists will provide a positive and purposeful experience for the participants. And the project provides access or engages underserved communities as identified by the National Endowment of the Arts. So you can refer to the attendant participants or audiences list, that checklist as I was referencing, under logistics, and those that you have identified under that section. We will like to see some evidence that here that the attendant participants and audience have some sort of connection. Their program-specific section regarding education asks that the application describes this learning plan for this group of learners, totaling a minimum of 8 hours. So let us know the structure. How many classes or workshops are you offering? What are the times? That kind of thing. The application also clearly states what National Core Art standards will be focused on. And within our application guidelines, the PGE guidelines, there is a link to the National Core Arts Anchor Standards, which you should reference when you are addressing the things that you are teaching. Again, we have a YouTube channel. We have webinar recordings and other videos Drop-in office hours again for the PGE grant this year is on March 23rd, next Monday. So drop in if you have any questions. We offer one-on-one meetings and as well. So you can email me at seamus.hames@arts.ri.gov. And I believe the due date is in 2 weeks. So yeah, don't wait last minute. All right, so we're going to go to the application now in this section here. And I'm going to pull up the RISCA, I'm sorry, Rhode Island State Council of the Arts website. What you can see here is the RISCA, Rhode Island State Council of the Arts website, and the Project Grants and Education landing page. If you go to RISCA under grants and under our grants and under education, Project Grants and Education, here we are. This is a bit like your base of operations. We have the guidelines here. We have a PDF of all the application questions, so you can have them in advance. We have the budget template here, evaluation criteria and scoring in the PDF form, which all of these things I pretty much went over with you, but they offer a little bit more detail. Here's the fiscal letter template if you need that. And this button, proceed to the online application, is where you go to apply. This takes you directly to this screen, which is the UniGrant system. This is the State of Rhode Island grants application portal. This specific grant has its own link. So if you were to have a Uni account and have be logged in otherwise, you won't actually see it. You need to click on this link specifically on this Project Grants and Education landing page. That will take you, that's the only way at the moment to actually get to the application. Go there, that will take you directly to the Project Grants for Education, year FY27. And again, here's a summary. You can look at the eligibility again that I described. Financial details such as the award restrictions, the award amounts. Here's my contact info. And here are, as I was mentioning, budget organization template, the guidelines, fiscal sponsor letter, and the evaluation criteria. Again, these are also on the RISCA website, but they're here as well. But they are duplicate forms for ease of. So when you're ready to apply, this is the button here, right underneath this State of Rhode Island Hope symbol. Hit apply. This will take you directly to your account here. And it should take you under the section called My Applications. And this Project Grants for Education will be right here at the top. Click on that. Once it loads, you will see this little thing set API. That's actually the grant. You want to click right on that. That will take you right into the system. The first thing you do is add team members. If you have other people working with you on this grant, you're going to want to add their emails and contact information here as well. This is a very important step that we always recommend to happen. That way, in case you lose access or your organization loses access to your application, there's another person available who can access it just in case. So we really insist that team members be added to this section. Now, this little column here is going to show you the sections that you need to complete in order to do this application. The submission stage, this is just basically some instructions for submitting the application, because at this point you are in the submission stage. This core information form is something that is required from the state of Rhode Island. and RISCA. It's just your basic core information of your contacts. The next, once you are finished with that, there is a button here to save. Um, once you start to enter the information, that will kind of show up. So in the actual project grant and education application is here. One down from core information. Once you fill in that core information section, which again is mostly contact information and such. Here we go. You're going to want to edit this, and because I had kind of gone in and opened it up already. I had I have to actually go in and edit it instead of opening it up. And as soon as I'm done, I'm saving the draft once I enter the information. So you'll see here what the application questions are. There it starts off with an eligibility checklist and proceeds into, as I was saying, logistics, where you identify what kind of organization you are, basic organizational info. Um, if you're or an individual, I should say. Project summary, the amount requested, project end date and start date, project location. As I was saying, this is the intended audience, the intended participants. Check all that apply here. This is a list of populations that was provided by the NEA. Again, any artists and or cultural organizations involved. Select any metrics for success that you plan to keep track of. And then you have to just check that you understand what risk of funds will not be used for, which I explained earlier under eligibility. Here you upload your budget. This is just some individual only information that if you're an individual, you have to say that you have a letter of partnership with the school, and that you are working in a dedicated learning environment. Second major section, as I was describing, artistic vibrancy and impact. How is art central to the project? How will the artist provide a positive and purposeful experience for participants? How does this project provide access or engage underserved communities, as identified in that list that of intended participants? You upload bios, resumes, links to your website, work sample list, and such. If you notice the red star, that means the question is required. So this is the education specific section. Basically, this is where you're going to type in a narrative form. You just describe to us what the learning plan is. As I said, it's going to total at least 8 hours, non-consecutive, separate sessions. Also here, what national core art standards will be focused on? Here's a place to upload a testimonial. That's the PGE application. I will, once you are done, get back to the main screen there. Sorry about this. Once you have completed that, there's one last standard application that is specifically for the state of Rhode Island. So again, that's just a little bit. It seems repetitive in terms of like it's basically your contact info again, but this section goes actually directly to the state in their information gathering. So and that's some basic contact and information about who you are while you're applying as well. And that's the application. I just want to as well point out that the Rhode Island State Council of the Arts YouTube page, which I hope you can see here as well. If you go to YouTube and search for Rhode Island State Council of the Arts, you will find our channel and you will find all of our grant support videos for the spring of 2026, including this one once I'm finished with it. If you need to watch it again, but there's also what I would recommend watching is this how to submit an application. If you have any issues with the application itself, once you get into that section. That was a YouTube session from the Grants Management Office from the state of Rhode Island, and who are experts in that UNA portal. That is specifically for the kind of grants that are in that portal at the moment. So it's very helpful. And again, she walks you through every single part of it. And that's the bulk of the information that I have to share. If you have any questions, please reach out. My email is seamus.hames@arts.ri.gov, and we can answer any questions you need or set up a one-on-one appointment. And again, please remember the application due date is April 1st at 11:59. And we can't accept any, thank you so much, June. We can't accept any late applications. If you have any questions, again, just let us know. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in your application, and we'll see you in the community doing the wonderful projects that you're so good at doing, and we want to thank you for what you do as well. So once again, my name is Seamus Hames from Rhode Island State Council of the Arts, and thank you for watching.